When I got home from the hospital, I became very obsessed with breastfeeding. I started making a lot of notes about how long I was feeding for, what time it was.
Postpartum psychosis is a very serious perinatal mental illness. It typically begins in the first 3 days after the woman's delivered, but women can go on to develop this condition even as late as 6 months after the delivery.
I found it really hard to rest or sleep. I also was saying to people when they came to visit us, get me some sweets, get me some chocolate, fizzy drinks, which was really out of character. I'd never really bothered that much with things like that in the past, and my husband was thinking that's a bit strange. I think when my daughter was sort of 5-6 days old, I was feeding her in the middle of the night. I started to sort of hear noises coming from the radiator in the room. I thought that I could hear voices coming from the radiator. So I woke my husband up, it was like 3 in the morning, and I said, you know, you've got to get up, you've got to bleed all the radiators for me, I'm really scared.
Women typically don't realise themselves how unwell they are, so it's their partners and their families around them who are more likely to recognise the signs and symptoms. What you will typically see are strange behaviours, unusual thoughts. It's a sense that something is not quite right.
And I started having a lot of colour associations, so every time I saw colours they'd sort of mean something, and I'd be thinking, oh, is that a message for me? It was similar with the television as well. I sometimes wondered if the newsreader or something actually was trying to give me a message as well, so it all became quite scary. It got to a certain point where I hadn't slept for so long that, you know, I just started to go just a little bit in my own little world. And then things came to a head really when my daughter was 8 days old. In the middle of the night, my husband sort of woke up and thought, well, where's my wife gone? And he found me in the garage, and I was like sat on the floor eating chocolate. And that was the point where he said, well, sort of thought to himself, that's it, this is not normal, there's something wrong.
It's a psychiatric emergency and help needs to be sought as quickly as possible. If that's out of hours, then going to A&E is the best course of action.
I was admitted to a general mixed psychiatric ward, an acute ward, and then we got a phone call to say that a bed had become available at the local mother and baby unit in Birmingham. And obviously it was brilliant because I was with my daughter. When I look back, I feel like that's when our bond started really. I think the major thing for me is to have hope. You can be so low, you can be so poorly, you know, in hospital, but you can get through it and you can get better.